10,000 words in English. Levels from A0 to C2. Part number 21. Welcome to the new series of the Talk English Fluently channel. In this fresh collection, I will be explaining 10,000 words that cover levels from A0 to C2. This is a vast and rich compilation of words that will greatly enhance your English language skills. Please watch the video until the end, and if you have any suggestions for improving future videos in this series, kindly leave them in the comments section. I appreciate your support through comments, likes, and subscribing to my channel. Ready to begin? Let's go! Part number 21. 500 words.
Utopia.
Many people dream of living in a utopia where everyone is happy and peaceful.
The novel describes a utopia where technology has solved all major problems.
Mahogany.
She admired the rich, dark color of the mahogany cabinet.
The table was made of beautiful mahogany wood.
Plateau.
After months of growth, the company's sales reached a plateau.
The hikers finally arrived at the plateau and enjoyed the stunning view.
Conflict.
She felt a conflict between her career and her family obligations.
The two countries were in a serious conflict over the border.
Type.
He typed his essay on the computer.
She quickly typed the email and sent it to her boss.
Grapple.
She had to grapple with the difficult decision for days.
The wrestler managed to grapple his opponent to the ground.
Inclusive.
The school aimed to create an inclusive environment for all students.
The event was inclusive, welcoming people from all backgrounds.
Cistern.
The cistern was almost empty after the long drought.
The old house had a large cistern for collecting rainwater.
Interrogate.
The detective had to interrogate the suspect to find out the truth.
She felt nervous when they began to interrogate her about the missing documents.
Stereotype.
The movie challenged the stereotype of the typical hero.
It's unfair to stereotype people based on their appearance.
Costume.
She wore a witch costume for Halloween.
The actors changed into their costumes for the play.
Endure.
He learned to endure pain without complaining.
They had to endure harsh conditions during their journey.
Nestle.
The kittens would nestle together for warmth.
She liked to nestle in her favorite chair with a good book.
Monarch.
Many people gathered to see the monarch during the parade.
The monarch ruled the country with fairness and wisdom.
Ongoing.
The project is still ongoing and will take a few more months to complete.
There are ongoing discussions about the new policy.
Leisure.
They planned a leisure trip to the mountains.
She enjoyed reading books in her leisure time.
Vacant.
The house had been vacant for years.
He found a vacant seat at the back of the bus.
Mainframe.
The mainframe crashed, causing a lot of disruptions.
The company used a powerful mainframe for data processing.
Ordain.
The bishop decided to ordain 3 new priests.
She felt it was her calling to ordain as a minister.
Deaf.
With deft hands, the chef prepared a gourmet meal.
The artist's deft brushstrokes created a beautiful painting.
Absolve.
The priest can absolve you of your sins.
He felt relieved after being absolved of any wrongdoing.
Acupuncture.
Acupuncture involves inserting thin needles into specific points on the body.
She tried acupuncture to help with her chronic pain.
Serotonin.
Exercise can help boost serotonin levels in the brain.
Low serotonin levels are often linked to depression.
Hygiene.
The school taught the children about proper hygiene practices.
Good hygiene is important for maintaining health.
Homeopathy.
She decided to try homeopathy as an alternative treatment.
Homeopathy uses natural substances in very small amounts.
Compatible.
They found out they were compatible and decided to get married.
The new software is compatible with most operating systems.
Gland.
The thyroid gland plays a crucial role in metabolism.
He had a swollen gland that needed medical attention.
Context.
She understood the joke better after learning the context.
The meaning of the word depends on its context.
Ritual.
The tribe performed a ritual to celebrate the harvest.
His morning coffee was a daily ritual he couldn't skip.
Promulgate.
It's important to promulgate the rules to all employees.
The government will promulgate new regulations next month.
Apprehend.
The police managed to apprehend the suspect quickly.
He couldn't apprehend the full meaning of the poem.
Recognition.
Facial recognition technology is becoming more common.
She received recognition for her hard work and dedication.
Advocacy.
She is known for her strong advocacy for human rights.
The organization focuses on advocacy for environmental protection.
Rigor.
They conducted the experiment with great rigor to ensure accuracy.
The course is known for its academic rigor.
Cauliflower.
She made a delicious cauliflower soup for dinner.
Cauliflower is a versatile vegetable that can be cooked in many ways.
Bonfire.
The bonfire kept them warm during the chilly night.
They built a large bonfire on the beach.
Acquiesce.
She decided to acquiesce to their demands to avoid further conflict.
He had to acquiesce when he realized he had no other choice.
Infirm.
She worked at a home for the elderly and infirm.
The infirm patient needed constant care.
Misplace.
I tend to misplace my keys all the time.
She was upset because she managed to misplace her wallet.
Biotechnology.
He is studying biotechnology at the university.
Biotechnology has revolutionized the medical field.
Curtail.
The government decided to curtail public spending.
They had to curtail their vacation due to an emergency.
Applause.
She felt proud when she heard the applause.
The audience gave a round of applause after the performance.
Hammer.
He used a hammer to fix the broken chair.
The blacksmith pounded the metal with a hammer.
Yacht.
The luxury yacht was anchored near the island.
They spent the weekend sailing on their yacht.
Sapphire.
She wore a beautiful sapphire necklace.
The ring had a large, sparkling sapphire in the center.
Canteen.
She always carried a canteen of water on her hikes.
The soldiers gathered in the canteen for lunch.
Expedition.
They went on an expedition to explore the Amazon rainforest.
The expedition team discovered new species of plants and animals.
Synapse.
The scientists studied how signals are transmitted across the synapse.
A synapse is a junction between two nerve cells.
Futile.
Their efforts to save the old building were futile.
He realized it was futile to argue with someone so stubborn.
Whereupon.
The alarm went off, whereupon everyone evacuated the building.
He apologized, whereupon she forgave him immediately.
Dentist.
She has an appointment with the dentist tomorrow.
The dentist told him he needed to floss more regularly.
Jackpot.
They hit the jackpot when they found the hidden treasure.
He won the jackpot at the casino.
Skirted.
They skirted the edge of the forest to avoid getting lost.
She skirted the issue during the meeting.
Brine.
He prepared the turkey by letting it sit in brine overnight.
The pickles were soaked in brine.
Applicable.
The rules are applicable to all members of the club.
The discount is only applicable to selected items.
Mandatory.
The training session was mandatory for all employees.
Wearing a seatbelt is mandatory by law.
Vestige.
The ruins were the last vestige of the ancient civilization.
He found a vestige of his childhood in the old photograph.
Easel.
He bought a new easel for his painting classes.
The artist set up her easel by the window.
Badge.
She proudly displayed her badge on her uniform.
The event attendees wore a badge with their names.
Overtone.
The song's lyrics carried a somber overtone.
His speech had a positive overtone.
Lily.
The garden was filled with beautiful lily flowers.
She placed a white lily in the vase on the table.
Vacate.
The guests will vacate their rooms by noon.
They were asked to vacate the premises immediately.
Recharge.
I need to recharge my phone before we leave.
A short nap will help me recharge for the evening.
Cardiac.
Regular exercise is good for cardiac health.
He was rushed to the hospital due to a cardiac arrest.
Mimic.
The child liked to mimic her mother's actions.
Some birds can mimic human speech.
Hare.
The hare is much faster than the tortoise.
We saw a hare running across the field.
Stellar.
Her performance in the play was stellar.
The night sky was filled with stellar objects.
Erratic.
The stock market showed erratic behavior last week.
His driving became erratic during the storm.
Pepper.
She added some pepper to the soup for flavor.
The garden has both green and red pepper plants.
Rationale.
He explained his rationale for the project.
The rationale behind the decision was unclear.
Palatable.
The meal was palatable and well-seasoned.
They made the medicine more palatable for children.
Lance.
He used a lance to fish in the shallow waters.
The knight carried a lance into battle.
Kennel.
They left their dog at the kennel during the trip.
The kennel was clean and well maintained.
Shunt.
The train had to shunt to a different track.
The doctor recommended a shunt to relieve the pressure.
Porous.
The sponge is very porous and absorbs water quickly.
The porous rock allowed water to pass through.
Grapefruit.
The grapefruit juice was tart and refreshing.
She had a grapefruit for breakfast.
Rector.
The rector of the university gave a speech at the ceremony.
The church rector organized a community event.
Elective.
The elective surgery was scheduled for next month.
She chose art as her elective course.
Inmate.
The inmate served 10 years in prison.
The prison guard watched the inmate closely.
Western.
The western region of the country is known for its deserts.
They watched an old Western movie last night.
Appreciable.
There was an appreciable difference in her performance.
The company saw an appreciable increase in profits.
Medallion.
The medallion was engraved with his initials.
He received a gold medallion for his bravery.
Dale.
They went for a hike in the dale.
The dale was lush and green in the spring.
Dagger.
The dagger had an ornate handle.
He carried a small dagger for protection.
Ambulance.
The ambulance arrived quickly at the scene.
They called an ambulance after the accident.
Fugitive.
The police are searching for the fugitive.
The fugitive was captured after a long chase.
Sentiment.
The speech expressed a sentiment of hope.
There was a lot of sentiment attached to the old house.
Coupon.
The store offered a coupon for 20% off.
She used a coupon to get a discount on her purchase.
Circuit.
He completed the circuit training at the gym.
The electrical circuit was faulty.
Criticize.
The movie was criticized for its lack of originality.
It's not fair to criticize someone without knowing the facts.
Badger.
The badger dug a hole near the garden.
He would often badger his sister with endless questions.
Mince.
He didn't mince his words during the meeting.
She decided to mince the garlic for the recipe.
Industrious.
The industrious student finished all her assignments early.
Bees are known for being industrious insects.
Pervasive.
Technology has become pervasive in modern life.
The smell of fresh bread was pervasive in the bakery.
Inculcate.
Parents often try to inculcate good values in their children.
The teacher aimed to inculcate a love of reading in her students.
Sherry.
The recipe called for a splash of sherry.
She sipped a glass of sherry after dinner.
Correspondent.
The correspondent reported live from the scene.
She worked as a foreign correspondent for the news channel.
Illusory.
Their sense of security was illusory.
The magician's tricks were completely illusory.
Tacky.
The paint was still tacky to the touch.
The decorations looked a bit tacky.
Invincible.
He felt invincible after winning the championship.
The superhero seemed invincible.
Gravy.
She poured gravy over her mashed potatoes.
The turkey was served with a side of gravy.
Footage.
They watched the old footage from their family vacation.
The security camera captured the footage of the incident.
Docile.
The dog was very docile and easy to train.
She preferred a docile horse for her riding lessons.
Stent.
A stent can help keep blood vessels open.
The surgeon placed a stent in the patient's artery.
Gnarled.
The gnarled tree stood tall in the ancient forest.
His hands were gnarled from years of hard work.
Moisture.
There was a lot of moisture in the air after the rain.
The plants need moisture to grow properly.
Skew.
The results of the study could skew the final analysis.
The photographer had to skew the angle to get the perfect shot.
Perception.
The artist's work challenges our perception of reality.
Her perception of the situation was different from his.
Baptist.
She attended a service at the Baptist church.
The Baptist minister gave a powerful sermon.
Sensation.
The new movie became an overnight sensation.
The icy water caused a tingling sensation in her feet.
Masterpiece.
The painting was considered a masterpiece.
He worked for years to create his literary masterpiece.
Trophy.
She proudly displayed her dance competition trophy.
The team celebrated with their championship trophy.
Embalm.
The ancient Egyptians were known to embalm their dead.
The funeral home offered services to embalm the body.
Abound.
The forest abounds with wildlife.
Opportunities abound for those who are prepared.
Instinct.
His instinct told him to avoid the dark alley.
Animals rely on instinct for survival.
Originate.
The call seemed to originate from outside the country.
The custom is believed to originate from ancient times.
Preach.
The pastor continued to preach every Sunday.
She decided to preach about kindness and compassion.
Refract.
Water droplets can refract sunlight to create a rainbow.
The light will refract as it passes through the glass.
Regulate.
The government aims to regulate the industry.
Hormones help to regulate various bodily functions.
Mode.
The computer can operate in different mode settings.
He switched the phone to silent mode during the meeting.
Perplex.
The complex puzzle seemed to perplex everyone.
His strange behavior began to perplex his friends.
Mid.
She completed the project by mid-July.
They arrived at the party mid-afternoon.
Modem.
The internet modem needs to be reset occasionally.
He bought a new modem for faster internet speed.
Pigeon.
The park was filled with flocks of pigeon.
A pigeon perched on the windowsill.
Bouquet.
She received a beautiful bouquet of roses.
The bride carried a bouquet of white lilies.
Shortcoming.
The report addressed the shortcoming of the current system.
Despite his shortcoming, he was a valued team member.
Meantime.
The new software will be ready soon. In the meantime, use the old version.
She was waiting for the bus, and in the meantime, she read a book.
Legitimize.
They sought to legitimize their actions through legal means.
The government moved to legitimize the new reforms.
Cocoa.
She made a hot cup of cocoa on a cold day.
The recipe called for 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder.
Overdraft.
The bank offers overdraft protection to its customers.
He incurred an overdraft fee on his bank account.
Dower.
The man had a dour expression on his face.
The weather was as dour as his mood.
Potty.
She asked her child if they needed to go potty before the trip.
They trained their toddler to use the potty.
Candy.
The children received candy on Halloween.
She bought a bag of candy for the party.
Souvenir.
He gave her a souvenir to remember their trip.
They brought back a souvenir from their vacation.
Nape.
She felt a chill at the nape of her neck.
The tattoo was placed on the nape of his neck.
Precarious.
Their financial situation was precarious.
The latter was in a precarious position.
Acquire.
He worked hard to acquire new skills.
They plan to acquire the property next year.
Imminent.
The decision was imminent, causing much anticipation.
The storm's arrival was imminent.
Sarah.
The doctor explained the role of sera in immunity.
They studied different sera for the research.
Glamour.
The magazine featured the latest in fashion and glamour.
The actress was known for her glamour and elegance.
Periphery.
He noticed something moving on the periphery of his vision.
The town is located on the periphery of the city.
Stance.
Her stance during the debate was very convincing.
He took a firm stance on the issue.
Cohesion.
The team worked well together, demonstrating great cohesion.
Social cohesion is important for a harmonious community.
Stimulus.
The loud noise acted as a stimulus for the dog to bark.
The government provided a stimulus package to boost the economy.
Dessert.
She had chocolate cake for dessert.
The restaurant offered a variety of dessert options.
Democrat.
The Democrat candidate won the election.
He identified as a Democrat and supported their policies.
Frock.
She wore a lovely frock to the party.
The vintage frock was a family heirloom.
Deduct.
The amount will be deducted from your paycheck.
You can deduct these expenses from your taxes.
Symmetry.
The design had perfect symmetry.
She appreciated the symmetry in the architecture.
Knot.
The sailor knew how to make a secure knot.
He tied a knot in the rope.
Booking.
She made a booking at the hotel for the weekend.
The booking was confirmed by email.
Conclude.
The study will conclude with a final report.
They will conclude the meeting at noon.
Antibiotic.
The doctor prescribed an antibiotic for the infection.
It's important to complete the full course of antibiotic.
Passive.
The income from the rental property is considered passive.
He took a passive role in the project.
Quibble.
They didn't quibble over the minor details.
He tends to quibble about insignificant issues.
Vegetarian.
The restaurant offers several vegetarian options.
She decided to follow a vegetarian diet.
Ambiguity.
The contract's ambiguity caused confusion.
He avoided ambiguity in his instructions.
Tangible.
She needed tangible evidence to support her claim.
The results of the study were tangible.
Novelty.
The toy's novelty wore off quickly.
He enjoyed the novelty of visiting a new city.
Sire.
The king's sire was a renowned leader.
The horse was the sire of many champions.
Hawk.
A hawk circled high above the field.
The hawk swooped down to catch its prey.
Vertebra.
The human spine is composed of multiple vertebrae.
She suffered an injury to her vertebra.
Respective.
They returned to their respective homes after the meeting.
The teams played in their respective arenas.
Gossip.
She didn't want to participate in the gossip.
The office was filled with gossip about the new manager.
Trench.
The soldiers dug a trench for protection.
The farmer used a trench to irrigate his fields.
Gauge.
It's hard to gauge her reaction to the news.
He used a gauge to measure the pressure.
Detention.
The student received detention for being late.
The school implemented a new detention policy.
Chart.
The chart showed a significant increase in sales.
She created a chart to track her progress.
Reshape.
They plan to reshape the park to include more green space.
The new policy will reshape the education system.
Fiasco.
Their attempt to fix the car ended in a fiasco.
The event turned into a complete fiasco.
Theory.
She proposed a new theory about the origins of the universe.
The theory needs to be tested with experiments.
Mod.
The game has a vibrant mod community.
He enjoyed customizing his car with different mod parts.
Elongate.
Stretching exercises can help elongate your muscles.
The shadow began to elongate as the sun set.
Overrun.
The garden was overrun with weeds.
The city was overrun with tourists during the festival.
Physician.
She consulted her physician about the symptoms.
The physician prescribed medication for his condition.
Purvey.
Company is known to purvey quality goods.
They purvey fresh produce to local markets.
Humiliate.
She didn't want to humiliate him in front of his friends.
The teacher made sure not to humiliate any student.
Honor.
She received an award in honor of her achievements.
They wanted to honor the veteran at the ceremony.
Aerobics.
She attends an aerobics class 3 times a week.
Aerobics is a great way to stay fit and healthy.
Brandy.
The recipe called for a splash of brandy.
He enjoyed a glass of brandy by the fireplace.
Tread.
He told them to tread carefully on the icy path.
The tire tread was worn and needed replacing.
Oversimplify.
The article tends to oversimplify the issue.
It's easy to oversimplify a complex problem.
Platelet.
Platelet donations are crucial for patients undergoing surgery.
She learned about the role of platelets in blood clotting.
Posh.
The posh restaurant had a strict dress code.
They stayed in a posh hotel during their vacation.
Delve.
He decided to delve into the history of his family.
The scientist will delve deeper into the research.
Linoleum.
They chose a bright linoleum pattern for the new room.
The kitchen floor was covered with linoleum.
Hound.
The hound barked loudly at the strangers.
Reporters continued to hound the celebrity for comments.
Illuminate.
The teacher's explanation helped illuminate the concept.
The streetlights illuminate the road at night.
Farewell.
They threw a farewell party for their colleague.
She said a tearful farewell to her friends.
Communicate.
It's important to communicate your needs clearly.
They use email to communicate with their clients.
Grizzly.
We saw a grizzly bear at the national park.
The grizzly is known for its large size and strength.
Patio.
The patio furniture was comfortable and stylish.
They enjoyed dinner on the patio.
Coup.
The military coup led to a change in government.
The company's successful merger was a major coup.
Nudge.
He needed a nudge to start his homework.
She gave him a gentle nudge to wake him up.
Sturdy.
The table was made of sturdy wood.
The child wore sturdy shoes for the hike.
Dowry.
She refused to marry someone just for their dowry.
The dowry included land and livestock.
Ovation.
The performer received a standing ovation.
Her speech was met with an ovation from the audience.
Blazer.
The school uniform included a blazer.
He wore a navy blazer to the meeting.
Recede.
The floodwaters began to recede after the storm.
His hairline started to recede as he got older.
Annals.
The annals of the organization detailed its founding years.
The event was recorded in the annals of history.
Aborigine.
The Aborigine people have a rich cultural heritage.
Aborigine art is known for its unique patterns and symbols.
Obstacle.
Overcoming each obstacle made them stronger.
They encountered an obstacle on their path to success.
Devil.
The old tale spoke of a deal with the devil.
He played the devil's advocate during the debate.
Ransack.
The soldiers were ordered to ransack the enemy's camp.
Thieves ransacked the house while the family was away.
Podium.
She stood at the podium to give her speech.
The winner received his medal on the podium.
Comma.
A misplaced comma can change the meaning of a sentence.
Remember to place a comma after the introductory phrase.
Pathological.
He had a pathological fear of germs.
The study focused on pathological behaviors.
Buffalo.
The explorers encountered a herd of buffalo.
The buffalo roamed freely across the plains.
Swarm.
A swarm of bees flew out of the hive.
Fans swarmed the celebrity for autographs.
Concomitant.
The rise in crime was concomitant with economic hardship.
The drug has several concomitant side effects.
Shrill.
The shrill sound of the alarm woke everyone up.
Her shrill voice could be heard across the room.
Moss.
Moss grew abundantly in the damp forest.
The rock was covered in green moss.
Ascent.
The ascent to the mountain peak was challenging.
Her career's rapid ascent surprised everyone.
Intersect.
Their lives would intersect again many years later.
The two roads intersect at the traffic light.
Purse.
She kept her keys in her purse.
He bought a leather purse for his sister.
Heath.
The heath was covered in blooming flowers.
They walked across the open heath.
Manicure.
She went to the salon for a manicure.
A weekly manicure keeps her nails looking neat.
Espionage.
The novel was filled with tales of espionage and intrigue.
The spy was arrested for espionage.
Contingent.
The company's success is contingent on market conditions.
A contingent of soldiers was sent to assist in the operation.
Snort.
He couldn't help but snort with laughter.
The horse gave a loud snort.
Crayon.
The child drew a picture with a red crayon.
She bought a new box of crayons for her art class.
Novice.
The course is designed for novice learners.
As a novice, he needed more training.
Triangle.
She drew a triangle on the paper.
The orchestra included a triangle in the percussion section.
Leek.
The recipe called for finely chopped leek.
She added leek to the soup for extra flavor.
Console.
She tried to console her friend after the loss.
The game console was a popular gift.
Verdict.
The verdict was announced in the courtroom.
The jury reached a unanimous verdict.
Epidemiology.
He studied epidemiology to understand disease patterns.
The field of epidemiology is crucial for public health.
Cot.
They set up a cot for the guest in the living room.
The baby slept soundly in the cot.
Lad.
The young lad helped his father with the chores.
The lad dreamed of becoming a knight.
Theology.
The study of theology explores religious beliefs.
He pursued a degree in theology.
Excruciating.
She experienced excruciating pain after the injury.
The wait for the test results was excruciating.
Pervade.
The smell of fresh bread pervaded the house.
A sense of excitement pervaded the room.
Trivia.
They enjoyed playing trivia games at the party.
The book was filled with interesting trivia about history.
Revenge.
The movie was a tale of love and revenge.
He sought revenge for the wrong done to him.
kindergarten,
Her child started kindergarten this year.
The kindergarten teacher was very caring.
hover,
The hummingbird can hover in midair.
The helicopter began to hover above the building.
advocate,
She is a strong advocate for environmental protection.
He chose to advocate for better working conditions.
indignant,
He felt indignant when accused of lying.
She was indignant about the unfair treatment.
tackle,
The player managed to tackle his opponent.
She plans to tackle the project this weekend.
poodle,
They adopted a friendly poodle from the shelter.
The poodle won first place at the dog show.
analogous,
The situation is analogous to what happened last year.
The structure of the atom is analogous to the solar system.
liaison,
The company appointed a new liaison officer.
He acted as a liaison between the two departments.
picket,
Workers formed a picket outside the factory.
The picket fence surrounded the garden.
regenerate,
Efforts were made to regenerate the old industrial area.
The starfish can regenerate its lost limbs.
carp,
The carp swam gracefully in the pond.
He tends to carp about minor issues.
crumble,
The cookie will crumble if you hold it too tightly.
The old building began to crumble.
empirical,
The scientist gathered empirical data for the study.
Empirical evidence is essential for a sound conclusion.
accustom,
He had to accustom his dog to the new leash.
It took time to accustom herself to the new environment.
rebut,
She was quick to rebut the false accusations.
The lawyer prepared to rebut the witness's testimony.
Verbal.
The child showed strong verbal skills early on.
They had a verbal agreement to share the profits.
Repercussion.
The decision had serious repercussions for the community.
She didn't consider the repercussions of her actions.
Annotate.
The teacher asked them to annotate their essays.
The student had to annotate the text for homework.
Route.
The army's attack led to a complete rout of the enemy.
The team faced a rout in the final match.
Impinge.
Loud noises can impinge on one's ability to concentrate.
The new policies impinge on individual freedoms.
Dock.
The ship arrived at the dock early in the morning.
They decided to dock the boat before the storm hit.
Remainder.
The remainder of the book was less interesting.
She finished the remainder of her meal.
Bedrock.
Trust is the bedrock of a strong relationship.
The building's foundation reached down to the bedrock.
Goblet.
The antique goblet was made of silver.
The knight raised his goblet in a toast.
Aspire.
She aspires to become a successful author.
Many young athletes aspire to compete in the Olympics.
Censure.
The board decided to censure the manager for misconduct.
The politician faced censure for his actions.
Clasp.
She wore a necklace with a delicate clasp.
He had to clasp the bag tightly to keep it from falling.
Sheath.
The knife slid easily into its sheath.
The sword was kept in a leather sheath.
Tyrant.
The ruler was considered a tyrant by his people.
They revolted against the tyrant's oppressive regime.
Potential.
The technology has the potential to revolutionize the industry.
She saw great potential in the new employee.
Subtitle.
The foreign film had English subtitles.
She read the subtitles to understand the dialogue.
Quarantine.
The travelers had to quarantine upon arrival.
The sick animals were placed in quarantine.
Collaborate.
They decided to collaborate on the project.
The two companies will collaborate to develop new products.
Chamber.
They conducted the meeting in the council chamber.
The castle had a secret chamber.
Tumult.
The city was in tumult after the announcement.
The tumult of the crowd was overwhelming.
Dredge.
The fishermen used a net to dredge the lake for fish.
They had to dredge the river to keep it navigable.
Independent.
She wanted to be independent and live on her own.
The country declared itself independent from colonial rule.
Inclusion.
Her inclusion in the team was a welcome addition.
The policy promotes inclusion of all students.
Barge.
The barge carried heavy cargo down the river.
He didn't mean to barge into the conversation.
Comply.
The company was quick to comply with the safety standards.
They must comply with the new regulations.
Outcast.
He felt like an outcast in the new school.
The outcast lived alone on the outskirts of the village.
Invertebrate.
The jellyfish is an example of an invertebrate.
The biologist studied invertebrate species.
Cask.
The wine was stored in a wooden cask.
They tapped the cask to pour the ale.
Tacit.
Her nod gave tacit approval to the plan.
They had a tacit agreement to support each other.
Innovative.
The company is known for its innovative products.
He came up with an innovative solution to the problem.
Cad.
The movie portrayed the villain as a charming cad.
She realized he was a cad after he broke his promise.
Soles.
The soles of his shoes were worn out.
She bought a new pair of shoes with thick soles.
Album.
She keeps her photos in a special album.
They released a new album last year.
Codify.
The government plans to codify the new regulations.
They work to codify the company's policies.
Concrete.
She gave concrete examples to support her argument.
The workers poured concrete to build the foundation.
Linguist.
The linguist studied several ancient languages.
She became a renowned linguist after publishing her research.
Physiology.
He was fascinated by the physiology of marine animals.
The course covered human physiology.
Disseminate.
The organization aims to disseminate information about health.
They used social media to disseminate their message.
Taper.
The road will taper to a single lane ahead.
The candle began to taper as it burned.
Script.
The actor read through his script before the rehearsal.
She wrote the script for the new play.
Scuba.
They saw colorful fish while scuba diving.
He took a scuba diving course during the summer.
Citrus.
The citrus trees were full of ripe fruit.
She made a refreshing citrus salad.
avenge,
The story is about a hero who seeks to avenge a great wrong.
He vowed to avenge his brother's death.
competent,
She is a competent and reliable worker.
The team was competent enough to handle the project.
locus,
The debate centered on the locus of control in psychology.
The park is a popular locus for community events.
tinge,
There was a tinge of sadness in her voice.
The sky had a tinge of pink at sunset.
caricature,
The film is a caricature of modern society.
The artist drew a humorous caricature of the politician.
debut,
The singer made her debut on the big stage.
The novel was his literary debut.
bureaucrat,
He complained about the slow pace of the bureaucrat's office.
The bureaucrat processed the paperwork efficiently.
jagged,
The jagged rocks made the hike more challenging.
The broken glass had jagged edges.
trolley,
The supermarket provided a trolley for shoppers.
They rode the trolley around the city.
holy,
The pilgrims visited the holy shrine.
They read from the Holy Scriptures every day.
flaw,
He pointed out a flaw in the argument.
The diamond had a small flaw.
probate,
The probate process can be lengthy.
The lawyer handled the probate of the will.
invert,
She decided to invert the color scheme in her design.
You need to invert the cake onto a plate.
oats,
She eats oats for breakfast every morning.
The farmer harvested the oats in the fall.
ramification,
The decision had serious ramification for the community.
They didn't consider the ramification of their actions.
Dilute.
You need to dilute the juice with water.
The medicine was too strong and had to be dilute.
Tarnish.
The scandal could tarnish his reputation.
The silverware began to tarnish over time.
Enumerate.
She can enumerate all the presidents in order.
The teacher asked the students to enumerate the steps.
Shorts.
She bought a new pair of shorts for the summer.
He wore shorts to the beach.
Ablaze.
The forest was ablaze with autumn colors.
The house was ablaze when the firefighters arrived.
Asthma.
The cold weather can trigger her asthma symptoms.
He carries an inhaler for his asthma.
Liqueur.
They enjoyed a glass of liqueur after dinner.
The recipe calls for a splash of liqueur.
Influenza.
Influenza spreads quickly during the winter months.
He was diagnosed with influenza last week.
Bereft.
She felt bereft after losing her pet.
He was bereft of ideas for his project.
Revert.
She decided to revert to her original plan.
The software will revert to its default settings.
Nymph.
The story described a forest nymph.
The nymph danced gracefully by the river.
Fierce.
She gave a fierce look to her opponent.
The competition was fierce.
Bristle.
The cat's fur began to bristle.
He started to bristle at the criticism.
Religion.
The book explores different world religions.
She practices her religion faithfully.
predetermine,
They tried to predetermine the outcome.
The schedule was predetermined by the organizers.
commons,
The park is a shared commons for the neighborhood.
Students gathered in the commons to study.
despot,
The country was ruled by a ruthless despot.
The people revolted against the despot's regime.
nutmeg,
The aroma of nutmeg filled the kitchen.
She added a pinch of nutmeg to the recipe.
cohesive,
The team worked as a cohesive unit.
They formed a cohesive plan to tackle the problem.
gorge,
The gorge was filled with rushing water.
They hiked through the narrow gorge.
placard,
Protesters held placard in the streets.
The placard displayed the event details.
neural,
Neural activity increased during the task.
The study focused on neural pathways in the brain.
disallow,
The referee decided to disallow the goal.
The policy will disallow unauthorized access.
orthodox,
The approach was considered orthodox by experts.
He follows the orthodox traditions of his faith.
subordinate,
The manager assigned tasks to his subordinate.
Subordinate clauses add information to the main sentence.
federal,
They applied for federal funding for the project.
The federal government passed a new law.
accommodate,
The hotel can accommodate up to 200 guests.
They made changes to accommodate the new requirements.
advocate,
He chose to advocate for better health care.
She is an advocate for animal rights.
alleviate,
The medication will help alleviate the pain.
They worked to alleviate the traffic congestion.
Ambiguous.
The meaning of the word was ambiguous in the context.
The instructions were ambiguous and confusing.
Anomaly.
The scientists discovered an anomaly in the data.
The sudden drop in temperature was an anomaly.
Anticipate.
She could not anticipate the results of her actions.
They anticipate a large crowd at the event.
Apprehensive.
He felt apprehensive about the upcoming exam.
She was apprehensive about meeting new people.
Arduous.
He faced an arduous journey to reach his goal.
The hike was long and arduous.
Articulate.
She is able to articulate her thoughts clearly.
The speaker was articulate and persuasive.
Assertion.
The scientist made a bold assertion in his paper.
His assertion was supported by evidence.
Assimilate.
Immigrants often struggle to assimilate into a new culture.
The body needs time to assimilate the nutrients.
Astute.
His astute analysis impressed his colleagues.
She made an astute observation during the meeting.
Authentic.
The restaurant serves authentic Italian cuisine.
She wanted an authentic experience during her travels.
Benevolent.
She donated to the charity out of benevolent motives.
The benevolent leader was loved by all.
Boisterous.
The children were boisterous at the party.
The crowd was loud and boisterous during the game.
Candid.
She appreciated his candid feedback.
He gave a candid interview about his experiences.
Candor.
She spoke with candor about her mistakes.
His candor was refreshing in the discussion.
capricious,
His capricious decisions often confused his friends.
The weather in the mountains is capricious.
circumvent,
They tried to circumvent the security system.
She found a way to circumvent the rules.
coherent,
He presented a coherent argument.
The essay was clear and coherent.
compelling,
The story was compelling and kept me engaged.
She made a compelling case for the proposal.
complacent,
They warned against becoming complacent in their efforts.
He became complacent after his initial success.
comprehensive,
The report provided a comprehensive analysis.
They conducted a comprehensive review of the policy.
concede,
She refused to concede her point during the argument.
He was forced to concede defeat in the election.
conscientious,
She is a conscientious student who always does her best.
The workers were conscientious about following safety protocols.
consensus,
The consensus among experts is that the theory is sound.
They reached a consensus after lengthy discussions.
conspicuous,
The error was conspicuous and could not be ignored.
She wore a conspicuous red dress to the party.
contingent,
The offer was contingent upon approval by the board.
Their plans were contingent on the weather.
contradict,
The evidence seemed to contradict his statement.
She didn't want to contradict her friend's opinion.
controversial,
The book covers several controversial topics.
The new policy was highly controversial.
conventional,
They followed a conventional approach to the problem.
Her views are quite conventional.
Convoluted.
His explanation was so convoluted that no one understood.
The plot of the movie was convoluted and hard to follow.
Copious.
She took copious notes during the lecture.
The garden produced copious amounts of vegetables.
Corroborate.
The data corroborate the theory.
The witness was able to corroborate his story.
Credible.
The article provided credible information.
She gave a credible explanation for her absence.
Cumbersome.
The process was cumbersome and time-consuming.
The package was too cumbersome to carry alone.
Cynical.
He has a cynical view of politics.
The comedian's jokes were often cynical.
Daunting.
She faced the daunting challenge with determination.
The task ahead seemed daunting.
Debilitate.
The illness began to debilitate him.
The long hours of work started to debilitate her.
Decipher.
The code was difficult to decipher.
She couldn't decipher his handwriting.
Deficient.
The diet was deficient in vitamins.
The report was deficient in several key areas.
Deliberate.
Her actions were deliberate and well thought out.
They took deliberate steps to improve safety.
Demeanor.
His calm demeanor helped ease the tension.
She had a friendly demeanor.
Demure.
Her demure behavior was unexpected.
She wore a demure dress to the event.
Deplete.
The resources began to deplete quickly.
The long journey depleted their supplies.
Diligent.
His diligent efforts paid off in the end.
She is a diligent worker.
Discrepancy.
There was a discrepancy in the financial report.
The witness's account showed a discrepancy.
Disdain.
She expressed her disdain for the policy.
He looked at the mess with disdain.
Disparate.
The two cultures were disparate in many ways.
The team had members with disparate skills.
Distinguish.
She could distinguish herself from her peers.
He can easily distinguish between the two.
Eccentric.
The professor was known for his eccentric habits.
The house was decorated in an eccentric style.
Eloquent.
His eloquent writing captivated readers.
She gave an eloquent speech at the ceremony.
Elucidate.
The teacher tried to elucidate the complex topic.
She asked him to elucidate his point.
Embellish.
The dress was embellished with lace.
She likes to embellish her stories.
Empathetic.
She was empathetic towards her friend's situation.
He has an empathetic nature.
Enigmatic.
She had an enigmatic smile.
The artist's work is enigmatic.
Ephemeral.
The beauty of the sunset was ephemeral.
Their happiness was ephemeral.
Equitable.
They sought an equitable solution.
The agreement was equitable for both parties.
Erratic.
His behavior became erratic.
The weather has been erratic lately.
Esoteric.
She enjoys reading esoteric books.
The topic was too esoteric for most people.
evoke,
The music can evoke strong emotions.
The painting evoked a sense of nostalgia.
exemplary,
He was an exemplary student.
Her performance was exemplary.
exhilarating,
The ride was exhilarating.
She found the experience exhilarating.
expeditious,
The delivery was expeditious.
They made an expeditious decision.
extol,
They extol the virtues of hard work.
She was extolled for her bravery.
fabricate,
Company can fabricate metal parts.
He tried to fabricate a story.
facilitate,
The new software will facilitate the process.
They hired a mediator to facilitate the discussions.
fastidious,
The editor is fastidious about grammar.
She is fastidious about her appearance.
feasible,
It is feasible to complete the project by Friday.
The team came up with a feasible plan.
fervent,
His fervent speech inspired the crowd.
She is a fervent supporter of the cause.
fluctuate,
The stock prices fluctuate daily.
Her mood tends to fluctuate throughout the day.
formidable,
The mountain presented a formidable challenge to the climbers.
They faced a formidable opponent in the finals.
fortuitous,
It was fortuitous that we met at the airport.
The discovery was a fortuitous accident.
frivolous,
The judge dismissed the lawsuit as frivolous.
She spent her money on frivolous items.
futile,
Their efforts to save the plant were futile.
He made a futile attempt to change her mind.
Garrulous.
His garrulous nature made him popular at parties.
The garrulous neighbor talked for hours.
Gregarious.
She is a gregarious person who loves socializing.
The gregarious birds flocked together.
Hackneyed.
His hackneyed jokes failed to amuse the audience.
The movie's plot was full of hackneyed cliches.
Haphazard.
The books were arranged in a haphazard manner.
His approach to studying was haphazard.
Harbinger.
The economic report was seen as a harbinger of recession.
The dark clouds were a harbinger of the storm.
Haughty.
Her haughty attitude alienated her coworkers.
He gave a haughty glance to the servants.
Heinous.
The judge condemned the heinous crime.
The criminal committed a heinous act.
Hinder.
The heavy traffic will hinder our progress.
His injury did not hinder him from playing.
Idiosyncratic.
The building's architecture is quite idiosyncratic.
His idiosyncratic habits amused his friends.
Illustrious.
She comes from an illustrious family.
The award was given to an illustrious scientist.
Immaculate.
He wore an immaculate white suit.
Her house is always immaculate.
Immutable.
The laws of physics are immutable.
His beliefs were rigid and immutable.
Impartial.
The journalist tried to be impartial in her reporting.
The judge must remain impartial.
Impetuous.
His impetuous decision led to a mistake.
She regretted her impetuous actions.
Implacable.
She had an implacable determination to succeed.
The enemy was implacable in their pursuit.
Implicit.
There was an implicit understanding between them.
His silence was taken as implicit agreement.
Imprudent.
His imprudent behavior got him into trouble.
It would be imprudent to invest all your money in one stock.
Incongruous.
The bright colors were incongruous in the dark room.
His casual attire was incongruous with the formal setting.
Indispensable.
Her help was indispensable to the project.
A good dictionary is indispensable for learning a language.
Inept.
The new employee was inept at his job.
His inept handling of the situation made things worse.
Infallible.
He believed his plan was infallible.
No one is infallible. Everyone makes mistakes.
Ingenious.
She came up with an ingenious solution.
The device is simple, but ingenious.
Inherent.
The problem was inherent in the system.
Risks are inherent in any investment.
Innocuous.
The comment was meant to be innocuous.
The substance is completely innocuous.
Insatiable.
Her insatiable curiosity led her to travel the world.
He has an insatiable appetite for knowledge.
Insidious.
The disease is insidious and hard to detect.
He launched an insidious campaign against his rival.
Insipid.
The conversation was dull and insipid.
The soup was insipid and lacked flavor.
Insolent.
His insolent behavior angered the teacher.
She was reprimanded for her insolent remarks.
Intangible.
Love is an intangible feeling.
The company's success is due to intangible factors.
Intrepid.
The intrepid explorer ventured into the unknown.
She faced the challenge with intrepid determination.
Inundate.
The office was inundated with phone calls.
The town was inundated by the floodwaters.
Invigorate.
The morning jog helped invigorate her.
A good night's sleep can invigorate you.
Irascible.
The irascible old man yelled at the children.
He is known for his irascible temper.
Irrefutable.
The evidence was irrefutable.
She presented an irrefutable argument.
Judicious.
His judicious decision saved the company.
They made a judicious use of their resources.
Keen.
She has a keen interest in art.
His keen eyesight helped him spot the error.
Lament.
The poem is a lament for the fallen soldiers.
They lament the loss of their friend.
Laudable.
Her efforts to help the poor are laudable.
The company's environmental initiatives are laudable.
Lavish.
The hotel offers lavish accommodations.
They threw a lavish party for her birthday.
Lucid.
His explanation was clear and lucid.
She had a lucid dream last night.
Magnanimous.
She showed a magnanimous gesture by forgiving her rival.
He was magnanimous in victory.
Malevolent.
The villain had a malevolent plan.
The malevolent glare from his eyes was unnerving.
Malignant.
He was diagnosed with a malignant disease.
The tumor was found to be malignant.
Mandate.
The government issued a mandate to reduce emissions.
The mandate was clear and non-negotiable.
Mawkish.
His mawkish poetry failed to impress.
The movie was overly sentimental and mawkish.
Meander.
The river began to meander through the valley.
They liked to meander through the old city streets.
Meticulous.
The project required meticulous attention to detail.
She is meticulous about her work.
Mundane.
The tasks were mundane and repetitive.
She longed for an escape from her mundane routine.
Myriad.
He has a myriad of ideas for the project.
The garden was filled with a myriad of flowers.
Nefarious.
The villain's nefarious plot was foiled.
They uncovered a nefarious scheme to steal money.
Nonchalant.
She remained nonchalant despite the chaos around her.
He gave a nonchalant shrug.
Notorious.
The city is notorious for its traffic jams.
He was a notorious gambler.
Nuance.
Understanding the nuance of the language takes time.
The actor's performance had subtle nuance.
Obfuscate.
The lawyer tried to obfuscate the facts.
His explanation seemed to obfuscate the issue further.
Obsolete.
The company had to update its obsolete equipment.
The technology quickly became obsolete.
Omnipotent.
The king believed he was omnipotent.
In many religions, God is considered omnipotent.
Ostentatious.
The house was decorated in an ostentatious style.
He wore an ostentatious outfit to the party.
Paradoxical.
Her actions were paradoxical and confusing.
It was a paradoxical situation where they needed to spend money to save it.
Partisan.
She is a strong partisan of the new policy.
The debate was highly partisan.
Pensive.
He looked pensive after the meeting.
She sat by the window, lost in pensive thought.
Perceptive.
His perceptive comments added value to the discussion.
She is very perceptive about people's feelings.
Perfunctory.
He gave a perfunctory nod.
The inspection was done in a perfunctory manner.
Permeate.
A sense of excitement permeated the room.
The smell of baking bread began to permeate the house.
Pernicious.
The pernicious effects of pollution are evident.
She spread pernicious rumors about her colleague.
Perpetuate.
They want to perpetuate the tradition.
The film perpetuates stereotypes.
Perspicacious.
The perspicacious detective solved the case quickly.
Her perspicacious insights were invaluable.
Pervasive.
There was a pervasive smell of paint in the room.
The influence of social media is pervasive.
Placid.
The lake was calm and placid.
He has a placid demeanor.
Plausible.
The story was plausible, but unverified.
Her explanation seemed plausible.
Poignant.
The movie's ending was poignant.
She shared a poignant memory from her childhood.
Pragmatic.
Her decision was practical and pragmatic.
He took a pragmatic approach to the problem.
Precarious.
The latter looked precarious.
They are in a precarious financial situation.
Precocious.
His precocious talent impressed everyone.
The precocious child could read by age 3.
Predominant.
The predominant color in the room was blue.
Her ideas were the predominant influence on the project.
Prevalent.
Smoking is more prevalent among teenagers.
That belief is still prevalent in society.
Proficient.
She is proficient in several languages.
He became proficient at playing the piano.
Prolific.
The apple tree was prolific this year.
She is a prolific writer.
Prosaic.
The prosaic details of daily life can be boring.
His writing style is plain and prosaic.
Prudent.
She made a prudent decision.
It is prudent to save money for emergencies.
Pugnacious.
The pugnacious boxer was ready for a fight.
His pugnacious attitude caused many arguments.
Quagmire.
Project turned into a bureaucratic quagmire.
They found themselves in a financial quagmire.
Quandary.
She was in a quandary about what to do next.
His moral quandary left him sleepless.
Quell.
She tried to quell her nerves before the interview.
The police tried to quell the unrest.
Quixotic.
His quixotic quest for perfection was unrealistic.
The plan seemed quixotic but inspiring.
Ramification.
They considered the ramifications of their actions.
The decision had significant ramifications.
Rancorous.
Their relationship ended on a rancorous note.
The debate was rancorous and heated.
Rapport.
The teacher had a strong rapport with her students.
They developed a good rapport quickly.
Rationale.
The rationale behind the decision was unclear.
He explained the rationale for his actions.
Recalcitrant.
The company's recalcitrant behavior led to penalties.
The recalcitrant student refused to follow the rules.
Ephemeral.
The beauty of the sunset was ephemeral.
Their happiness was ephemeral.
Esoteric.
She enjoys reading esoteric books.
The topic was too esoteric for most people.
Pernicious.
The pernicious effects of pollution are evident.
She spread pernicious rumors about her colleague.
Convoluted.
The story had a convoluted plot.
The argument was convoluted and hard to follow.